y'all. So, welcome to this episode of Cancer Called. How will you answer? On today's episode, we're going to be talking about life after cancer. Today, I have with me Shirene.
Hello.
And Shirene actually happened to be one of the cast members of Stars. As you know, I was just on Stars, which was Survivors Tell a Real Story. I hope you guys did go and run. I said run to go see that episode. Well, not episode, but it was actually snippets or our actual show where you could see the breakdown of Shirene, myself, and some of the other cast members at Stars Arizona. So I really want you guys to go run and watch the show if you didn't see us in person here in Arizona. So Shirene, thank you for joining me this evening.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure.
It's always a pleasure with you, Shirene. She's a whole vibe. Whole vibe. So Shirene, I wanted to jump right in, and for those of us that have seen you on the show, you talked about some of the things that you've done since you had cancer, and you actually had skin cancer, right? Can you kind of give us a little bit of background about what type of cancer you had and what you did since you've had cancer?
Well, it started in, 2013. I kind of block a lot of that out of my brain, you know, because I think of right now and tomorrow rather than yesterday. But I had a tiny little red spot on the side of my nose, and it was melanoma, and lost part of my nose, as I like to say, because they got it all. But every 3 months I have to go to the dermatologist, and I have to literally live, I feel like a vampire. And I was a huge sun chaser my whole entire life growing up in Portland.
Okay.
Right? Literally in the summertime, I would put a floaty in my hot tub when I knew it was going to be a sunny day, and I would stay there all day. And I would go anywhere I could in the world to get sun. Well, it finally caught up with me.
I was going to say it caught up with you, huh?
And I've had other cancer spots on my skin removed, which is why I have to go to the dermatologist every 3 months.
I didn't know that about you, Shirene. Mm-hmm. So it was more than just the spot on your nose. You've had other cancer found on your body.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay.
Oh, yeah. And especially when I first moved here, I had so much anxiety going to the dermatologist that I had to literally take anxiety medicine. I had my nephew drive me because I felt like I would leave part of my body in the doctor's office every time I went to the dermatologist, and it still is a thing today, and that was 11 years ago.
Wow.
So, wear that sunscreen, stay out of the sun. And I live, of course, in Arizona.
Right.
Because what's outside our window?
Sun everywhere.
7 days a week, not 24 hours a day, but 7 days a week, it's going to be there.
Mm-hmm.
And the dermatologist, he's so funny. He's like, you do realize you live in the Valley of the Sun, right? I'm like, I know.
Literally.
So, I wear a hat. Oh, and I had a skin peel on my face, which that was awful in itself. And then they did a skin peel on my on the top of my neck, and that's no joke, right?
Let's take a step back, because let's take a step back. I gotta know about this whole skin peel. So when I heard about skin peels, I thought you purposely did skin peels because you wanted to lift off dead skin, and you wanted to look younger, and you wanted to be cutesy.
Well, there is that, but I had some kind of cancer remover acid kind of stuff put.
So that was your type of skin peel.
Oh. Yeah, and it was no fun. Literally, I could not even so much as sit by a window for a week. when I had my face done, the same thing with my upper body, that was done a few years later, but oh my God, and it just it was just disgusting.
Wow.
So, anyway, now that I'm thinking about all of this, it all just comes forward. It's like, oh yeah, and there was this, and there was this. Again, I don't think a whole lot about it.
Yeah.
I just know it's part of who I am. It's not what I am, but it's just, okay, it's just something that I do, you know?
Yeah.
Like we go to the dentist every 6 months, have our teeth cleaned. We go to the doctor once a year, have a full checkup. I go to the dermatologist every 3 months, so yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know that, Shirene.
Mm-hmm.
So, going to the dermatologist, this kind of leads me every 3 months. This kind of leads me into life after cancer, and talking about that. Can you share with our guests and our watchers, I guess, not really guests, but our viewers,
Our audience.
Now that you've taken that off your nose, and you talk about that in the STARS program or the show that we were on, like, how do you live after cancer? I mean, yeah, you go to the doctor every 3 months, but now that you've had cancer, and I hear you say they're removing parts of my body, what does that do for your mental? You know, that's I mean, I know what it does for my mental when you say you cut off my breast, but what does it do for your mental? It may not be the same. You and I may not think the same.
Well, as a matter of fact, I just went to the dermatologist, what is today, Wednesday? Yesterday. And he took a biopsy of a thing off the back of my neck, which was precancerous, and burned several precancerous things off my body. I mean, it just is part of my life. And what I know for sure is time is precious, right? Like, there is no someday. Have we ever seen someday on the calendar? No, there is no someday. Someday is right now. If I want to do something, you think
that's
somebody's
Richard
at the
the
door.
dog.
He wears a little bow tie. He's very dapper. And his name is Richard. Anyway, time is just so precious that I think of my calendar age and I think, oh my God, how the hell did I get here? Right? In my brain, I still think I'm just a few years out of college. Yeah, that was a few years ago, just a minute.
Just a few.
And anyway, so time is just precious and there is no someday. And if you want to do something, you do it now, because now is always the right time. And I have this little thing on my, I'm just going to share this with y'all.
Yes.
I found this.
Show to the camera.
I found this on one of my trips. It's pretty well worn, but it's a hotel key from 100 years ago.
I didn't know that's what that was, Shirene.
Yeah, like years ago when you would go to, and that was back when it began with an
Just
M.
a few years ago.
Yeah, that was back when a hotel began with an M, which I don't even use those words anymore. You would get a key like this that would have like number 1, number 2, A, whatever on it.
Right.
Anyway, so on one of my travels, I was walking by a store and I saw these and I thought, oh, well, that'd be kind of cool to have on my keychain. Anyway, it says, the next adventure begins now. That is my motto.
The next adventure begins now. And you kept that.
Oh yeah, and it goes everywhere with me.
I love that.
So thank you. But just a couple things, we meet our best self when we are faced with adversity, whatever that is. You might lose your house, you might lose your car, whatever it is, that's when we meet our best self. And for me, I choose not to look back, right? I choose to look forward, but hindsight's always 20/20. This should have been a big enough wake up call for me, right? To like, okay, get my act together, let's start moving, let's figure out what it is we really want. I kind of sort of did. Found travel.
Mhm.
Travel is my,
It's life.
best friend.
Yes.
Best friend. And anyway, so it took several years. My life had to completely fall apart with, oh my God, what happened? I lost my beautiful home that I designed. I lost my business, lost my second marriage, and the universe still thought I needed more. I had a nervous breakdown. And the same year, I dislocated my knee so severely that the doctor said I would never walk again without having it reconstructed. And let me tell you, that was a process in itself, because 30 years prior, I dislocated my left knee. So I knew the road that I was in for.
And this was all after the cancer?
Uh-huh,
This is all after the cancer, folks.
uh-huh.
After the cancer.
But that wasn't a big enough wake-up call for me. What I know for sure is, like Oprah says, and I'm not, whatever.
Right.
It all starts as a whisper, right? Little things start happening in your life. You know, your dog might die, I don't know, your purse might get stolen. Just
Right.
little
Car
things.
breaks down.
Exactly.
COVID.
Yeah. Little things start
Sickness.
happening
Yeah.
that is the universe, or whatever you want to call it, speaking to you, saying, okay, Shirene, you got to figure your life out. What do you want? Where are you going? And the biggest thing for me was to truly figure out what my gift is. My gift is inspiration, right?
Yeah, I talk about that a lot. I talk about that a lot in my videos, in my TikToks. Cancer called, all the way around. Inspiration. Yeah, I agree with you.
And gratitude. Oh my God. With everything that happened in my life thus far, literally, I now wake up and I immediately say, thank you for exceeding my expectations. And that's how I start my day. Because I am so grateful. I'm grateful for this table. I created this table. When I first moved to Phoenix, I said out loud, I need a table. Because I left all my furniture. I moved from a, 2,800 square foot home to like a box. Which I'm perfectly
It's a cute box,
fine
folks.
with.
It's a cute box. I'm sitting in a cute box. It's not a box.
But I said when I first moved to Phoenix, I needed a table. And I go to get in my car, I'm driving by the dumpster in my apartment complex where I lived. This beautiful table was there. And I'm like, are you kidding me? And I said, okay, if you're there when I come back, then it'll go to my house. Sure enough, it was there.
And here it is.
And these gentlemen were bringing stuff to the dumpster, and I said, hey, would you mind carrying this to my apartment? It's just like a block away. So they carried it to my apartment. I refinished it. My whole point is, I am just so profoundly grateful for everything.
For everything.
Everything. And when you live in gratitude, that brings love forward, because we only operate from two emotions, fear and love. They cannot exist together. Absolutely cannot.
Let's tap into that, though. Let's tap into that point, because to your point of gratitude, do you feel, I personally feel, but do you feel after you have had cancer, and let's just sprinkle on all those things that happen after cancer that you went through, your perspective on life completely changes after cancer. So life after cancer is completely different than life before cancer.
100%.
And those things that you thought mattered
The bag,
before cancer,
the big home,
they don't matter.
the fabulous car,
Yes.
the this, the that, the whatever society tells you. Oh,
It's
buy
like,
this car and you're gonna get the cute girl.
Yeah.
Buy this handbag and people are gonna think you're
you gotta
a
have
millionaire.
it. Yeah, you gotta have the Lexus. You gotta have the Benz. Don't get me wrong, they're cute.
Yeah,
The
exactly.
bags are cute.
Mhm.
The house is cute, but you don't have to have it, because once you've dealt with cancer, the table matters.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
The table with the scratches matters. The antique matters. The time with the family matters.
Oh.
The hour that you get to read the book matters. The sitting in the park matters. The time with Richard the dog matters.
Yep. Can I tell you of a time? Okay, we live in Arizona, right, where it hardly ever rains. I grew up in Portland, where it rained all the time. I was in Seattle a few months ago, sitting outside having a coffee, and I thought, what is that sound? What is that sound that I hadn't heard in the longest time? That sound were the tires driving on the wet pavement, and that little crackling. And I was so grateful in that moment just to hear that sound. But that's, I believe, what happens to us when we meet our best self through any type of adversity,
Not just cancer.
that we come forth as a new person and are alive and are aware and are awake to hear what's going on around us.
I agree.
That is such a good example for me.
Yes. I think that's a great analogy.
Because
Because you didn't hear it before.
exactly.
You didn't care about it before.
No.
Yeah. That's a great analogy.
And I never thought I would fly back to Portland. One of my boys would pick me up, and I would look outside and I go, "Oh my God, I'm so grateful for overcast skies, because then I can be outside." Granted, it's not the sun, and you can still get skin cancer from that, but you put your sunscreen on every single day. It's just a whole different way of thinking. And it's just being grateful for everything. In fact, can I talk about this now?
You can.
Would that be good?
Yes.
I've created these gratitude jars that we sell on Etsy, and what you can, this is my big gratitude jar.
That's a big jar.
Uh-huh.
That's a whole lot of gratitude.
And how this
I
started.
didn't know you sold them on Etsy though. I
Yep.
thought you just made them as gifts.
Well, there
But
was
that's
that
kind
too.
of cool though.
But this pays for the things that we do in the world as Super Miro. It pays for, the gift cards that we give the children as prizes and all that kind of stuff.
Yes.
So, we sell these on Etsy. Every single one of these is unique, just like us.
Yes.
And I mean YOUNIQUE.
Unique.
Unique. Not different, not special, because special implies better than someone or something. And in truth, no one is better than anyone else.
That's true.
We are all unique. YOUNIQUE. So, each one of these is unique, and this is my ginormous gratitude jar. And that's what we call it, is a gratitude jar. And what you can do is put little notes inside of here. I keep all of my hotel keys.
I need to travel with you.
I keep all of my hotel keys, the date of, where I stayed, who I was with,
Right.
and I have just like all kinds of fun little things in here. But I'll tell you what, when I'm having a not so good day, I don't call it a bad day, because I don't believe in bad days. I believe there's not so good moments, there's not so good days, there's not so good times. But anyway, when I'm having a not so good day or moment, I literally will reach in here and I'll just grab out something. Like,
That reminds you
yeah, this was from a trip.
of what to be grateful about.
This, okay, I wrote on here, this was a trip that my son and I took back, I think this was right after the doctor called, because I said, oh my gosh, I said to my son, I said, I want to watch the sunrise over the Grand Canyon.
And you went to the Grand Canyon?
Yeah, we flew from Portland to...
So you weren't even living here?
No.
Oh.
We flew to Vegas, rented a car, and drove, like, I don't know, however long, watched the sunrise over the Grand Canyon. That was pivotal. And then turned right around and flew back to Portland. But I wrote on here, Sunrise Grand Canyon with Cruz in 2013.
Her son's name is Cruz.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, but look at how the vibe just changed.
Right.
Just by me reliving this piece of paper or this key. Or
But you know what I love about this, Shirene, is if people haven't picked up on this yet, and one of the reasons that I wanted to do an episode with Shirene is because of all the positive energy that exudes from you. If you can't feel that coming through the screen, then I need you to reevaluate yourself. Because if it ain't coming off of me, folks. So if you can't feel that from Shirene, I need you to reevaluate, because she's showing you how you can make a gratitude jar or purchase one off of Etsy. She's talking about how not only did she have cancer and how she's living life after cancer, and she's so positive after that. And we're not saying that you're not going to have bad days.
Oh, trust me.
Right?
Woo.
Because we just talked about this before we hit record, right?
We're human.
We have bad days.
Mm-hmm.
So she's not saying that. I'm not saying that.
Mm-hmm.
But we're saying you can have a different outlook, right? After cancer. You can have a different outlook after you lose the house, after the husband, after the wife, after the flat tire, right? After the loss of someone that you love, you know? That's life.
Yeah.
Right? Look for other things to gravitate towards, to create. Put people like Shirene in your life. That's why I gravitate towards people like Shirene.
We are
because
our
I
circle.
need people like that in my life, Shirene, you know? Because being a stage 4 patient, as many of you know, I guess I'm not really a patient. I'm just a stage 4 cancer person. Am I really a patient anymore?
No.
Yeah, I'm just a stage 4 gal. You know? I don't want to be a gal. But being someone that has stage 4 cancer, I do have a different outlook on life. I do see life differently. I do hear those tires on the pavement when it rains.
It's beautiful, isn't
right?
it?
I do hear the birds. I do see things differently in the grocery store. I do stop and look at the sky more often. Right? I do take a step back and I reflect more on things that I do throughout the day. You know, I'm not that person that has to have everything that's fancy. I like nice things, don't get me wrong, folks. I do love to travel. I am going to get into her gratitude jar. She doesn't know it yet, but I am. So I do like nice things. So don't get me wrong. I'm not saying don't buy nice things for yourself, but I don't have to have everything flashy. I enjoy sitting with a book with my husband on the patio and hearing the rain or looking at the sun or looking at the sky or hearing the birds or whatever it is. So my point is, don't let cancer consume your life. Find the joy. If you've lost the joy, find it. Because you have to find something that inspires you. So if it's not me and if it's not Shirene, then keep looking because it's out there. That's my point.
Can I tell you, share with you a fun little story?
Of course.
2 months ago.
That was cute.
Because I'm like, okay, what month is it? So 2 months ago, I go outside. I had an appointment. Go outside, go to start my car, push the button, and it does that weird little thing, and I'm like, oh my God, my battery is dead.
Wait, was that when we went to lunch? This was after we went to... No, that was 2 months ago. Remember we thought it happened when we went to the Burger King?
Yes. And that's because my battery in my fob was going low.
Going
Which, by
funny.
the way, I had both of them replaced
Okay,
today. Mm-hmm. The sweet little man at Batteries Plus replaced it for me. Anyway, so I go to start my car. Battery's dead. Probably the old me would have just been mad, upset. No, because I live in gratitude. I literally said out loud, "Thank you for keeping me safe." Because chances are very high that that battery died to save me from an accident potentially down the line or something.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah.
So I call, they come, start the battery. As I'm on my way to the dealership, because that's where I had to go, there was an accident, maybe a mile from my house, on the way to the dealership. Let me tell you, in that moment, I immediately thought, thank you. Because things happen in our life, not only to speak to us that there's something else going on, they also happen to keep us safe.
I agree with that.
And
Yep.
now that battery ended up costing me an extra $700.
Ooh-wee.
Okay? I was grateful, one, that I had the money to pay for it.
That was true.
And I just passed over Mr. Alaska credit card.
Yeah.
That's what I call him. And yeah, so, but just shift your thinking. Is it always easy? No. But is it worth it? 100%. 100%. When we choose to live in gratitude and live and come from a place of love, that's when our world shifts. And by the way, in my podcast that drops tomorrow, I talk about comparison
Yes.
and how that just takes our joy immediately. And that's something that is every human does it. I
Right.
compare myself to you, you compare yourself to me. But when you shift it and say, I'm so grateful that you are so beautiful, and I love your red glasses, and I just
Thank
love
you.
everything about you, rather than, I want those glasses for myself. See, it's just a whole different vibe.
It is. It is. Even when you say it like that, it's different.
But it's just practice, repetition, doing
And
it
shifting
over and over.
And I like that you
over.
shared that, because that's important. And saying, shifting your thought process.
Mhm.
Shifting your thought process. So take that as a takeaway.
Mm-hmm.
I want you to also share, how can we hear about your podcast?
Yes.
Or hear your podcast? Richard wants attention, you guys.
Okay, I'm going to
You wanna
introduce
show
you. Come on.
Richard?
I'm going to introduce you to Richard. This
He
is
has
Richard.
a bow tie.
This is
Hi, Richard.
Say hi.
She wants to tell us about her podcast, Richard.
Okay. So, yes, my podcast drops every Thursday morning at 8:08 a.m. And why the number 8? Because I'm all about energy. And my podcast, my first one dropped on 08 at 8:08. So, every Thursday, my podcast drops. It's between 10 and 15 minutes, and I start off with, this is the second best 15 minutes of your day. What's the first 15 minutes, best 15 minutes? When you frickin' opened your eyes.
I like that. I like that. And what's the name of your podcast?
A unique, YOUNIQUE perspective.
Nice. And that's on Spotify only right now.
On Spotify, yes.
Okay.
Branching out, but, just doing it a little bit at a time. But
Well, I have to say, Shirene, because we only do 30 minutes on these shows, but it sounds like you and I have way more to talk about, which means we're going to have to do way more episodes. Do you agree?
absolutely.
So she's going to be back, guys. So I hope that you're going to tune in more to see Shirene and I. And of course, we're going to have more guests on the show. But until next time, make sure you follow me on Cancer Called. We have cancercalled.com coming soon. So make sure you check that in the coming months. We're definitely going live in 2025. But until then, check us out on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, and always on Facebook. Until then, I'll see you on the next episode. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.